Hello everyone, Satorn here, giving you another quick Vicky 3 tutorial. This time is all about subjects. Maybe you are one or you want to make some for yourself. Let's get into it. There's 6 or 7 different types of subjects in the game. We're going to go through different attributes these subjects have, and then that'll help break it down and maybe make it a little bit more understandable. The first attribute we'll talk about regarding subjects is autonomy. So let's take a look at a protectorate here. We can see the United Tribes is a protectorate of the Great Britain. What this means is that they're a subject that are still able to take their own diplomatic plays, and a diplomatic play is a hostile action that they could do through diplomacy. So for example, the United Tribes can go to war. They could also annex maybe some of their own subjects. So there is still some freedom there. The second attribute is, can the subject be annexed? And there's no peaceful way of doing this. So there's only through diplomatic play or when you form a country. So you can check here, for example, this Dominion with the Hudson Bay Company. As long as there's a negative opinion between Great Britain and the Hudson Bay Company, they could try to annex the subject. What this will do, since it's a diplomatic play, it will cause a war. So like I said, there is really no peaceful way in the game yet to do this, which I'm hoping they add later on. Another way to annex your subjects is if you form a new country. So under cultures in the nation formation tab, we're Prussia, we could form Germany. So any of the subjects here that could be annexed, if they're in a subjugation that allows it, when we go and form Germany, they'll come right underneath it. The third attribute that impacts subjects is whether the overlord is unrecognized. So you can see here the Great Qing is unrecognized, or Great Britain here, who's a great power and is recognized, will determine what type of subjects you can have. In 5 out of the 6 subject types, you're going to have to pay an income tax, or you're going to receive an income tax. And you can see here underneath the diplomatic pacts how much Britain is collecting. Also, when it comes to trade, there's usually a convoy tax as well, or a percentage that you're going to give to your overlord or you're going to receive from all your subjects. And you can see that here. One of the greatest benefits, though, of being a subject is protection. So, for example, France, if they want to take over Western Australia and they went here to conquer, they're not going to just go against Western Australia. They're going to have to actually fight Great Britain as well. So this is huge. So this is the one thing of being a subject. Maybe when you're small, it's not that big of a deal, and later on you try to liberate, because here you'll get a lot of protection from other countries. This could be an advantage or disadvantage depending on your play style. If you're a subject, you're also a part of that person's market. So as Western Australia, we're part of the British market, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because it's so big, but in other cases, it may not be what you want. I found a decent chart of the 6 different subject types. There's a 7th one we'll talk about later in the video. I'll put a link of this down in the comments below. So let's start with the first 3 subject types that require the overlord to be recognized. The first one is puppet. This has the least amount of freedom. There's no autonomy at all. They'll be annexable later on. Their income will be taken 30%, which is huge, and convoy contribution is 75%. So this is really the strongest one if you are the overlord. Dominion eases up a little bit, so they are autonomous. They can do their own diplomatic plays. They are annexable later on, which is also very good. The income taxes go down to 25%, so you're not getting as much there, but your contribution to convoys is still very large. Protectorate is the smallest one here. Again, they're autonomous. You cannot annex them later on at all. There is no income, and the convoy contribution is reduced to 50%. The other thing to note is puppet and dominion are good. However, they do require a diplomatic play, meaning that you will have to go to war to be able to get these type of subjects. The protectorate, however, you can do, or actually another country can propose this to you to become a protectorate, and that's just done through diplomacy. Now let's take a look at the subjects that require an unrecognized overlord. These are similar to the recognized, but you're going to see some slight differences. For example, the vassal is very similar to the puppet. However, the convoy contribution is different, is reduced to 50%. The tributary is very similar to the protectorate. Again, all the same type of autonomy as well as the annexability. However, the income here you can see is 20%, which you don't get as a protectorate. This also can be done through diplomatic means. You do not need a diplomatic player going to war. However, as a vassal, you do need to go to war to be able to get this subject. Personal union is listed here as a 6th subject type. However, you cannot create this at all in the game. It is only available to certain countries in the beginning and can only be transferred through diplomatic play, so I won't go into great detail about that. There is a seventh subject type, which I really don't want to call a subject type. I think it's more of an agreement. We could hover it over here. It's called a customs union. It's a diplomatic pact between a senior partner and or several junior partners to share a single market. That's it. There's no other ties. You don't have to go to war for one another. You don't have to pay any income taxes. It's pretty much just a way for Great Britain to say, hey, I want you to be a part of my market now. They become a part of it. And after a certain amount of time, you're actually able to leave the customs union without any issue. If for some reason you're feeling generous, or maybe a subject is just causing too many problems, you can actually right click through diplomacy and you can grant independence. Your enemies can also perform diplomatic plays and try to transfer your subjects or liberate your subjects. So there's other ways to get more. Lastly, if you're a subject like a puppet here, we're Columbia District, we could go to Britain, right click and say demand independence, which is one thing. After a while they can make a decision. You can see here it is a thumb down, so they're not going to accept this. So that's kind of diplomatically. Or we could just declare independence and this will cause a giant war. I hope you all found this video useful. I know this was crazy for me. There were so many subject types. I wasn't sure when to use them, how they work. Hit that like, subscribe, and notification button. They're free. And as always,
for the swarm.